A packed football stadium in England. A championship match between Leeds United and Manchester Strikers is underway. The fans are electric, chanting and cheering as the two teams vie for dominance. The camera pans over the players warming up. Among them is David Reyes, a 22-year-old rising star for Manchester Strikers, known for his dazzling speed and sharp instincts. David, a young black athlete from a humble background, carries the hopes of millions on his shoulders. Opposing him is James Carter, Leeds captain, a seasoned player with a controversial reputation for being overly aggressive. As the game begins, tension is palpable. David quickly dominates the field, dribbling past defenders and setting up near impossible shots. However, he notices something odd. James Carter and a few other Leeds players are targeting him, making sharp comments and unnecessary fouls. In the 25th minute, after an intense tackle, Carter whispers something to David. David freezes, his face clouded with hurt. The camera zooms in on his trembling lips as he mutters, "Did he just?" The referee intervenes, but David shakes his head, choosing not to react outwardly. The crowd remains oblivious, cheering loudly as the game resumes. A flashback reveals David's journey to this moment. Growing up in a tough neighborhood, football was his escape. He remembers the discrimination he faced from his earliest days in the sport, how coaches overlooked him and teammates excluded him. His father's voice echoes in his mind, "Prove them wrong on the pitch." As the game progresses, the abuse from Carter and his teammates becomes more apparent. During a corner kick, Carter loudly mocks David's background, calling him a slur. David stumbles, missing an easy header. The crowd starts noticing. Fans on social media begin commenting, sensing something is off. The camera cuts to David's teammates, who are unsure how to respond. His closest friend, Amir Khan, an Asian midfielder, looks at him with concern. "Speak up, man," Amir urges during halftime. But David shakes his head again. "If I react, they win." In the second half, things boil over. Carter, after losing a one-on-one duel with David, shoves him aggressively, causing David to fall. While on the ground, Carter spits a racial slur loud enough for the referee and surrounding players to hear. This time, David doesn't stay silent. He gets up, confronts Carter, and yells, "Say it louder for the world to hear." The stadium falls silent. The referee blows the whistle, stopping the game. The camera pans to the stands, showing shocked fans. A group of Leeds supporters begins chanting in defense of Carter, while others boo him. The division is palpable. The match is in its 82nd minute. David Reyes, Manchester's star striker and captain, is about to take a free kick. The players form a wall as David positions himself. The air is heavy with tension, the roar of the crowd echoing around the stadium. James Carter, the Leeds captain, is at the center of the wall, glaring at David. He leans forward and mutters something, his voice just loud enough for David to hear. David freezes, his face hardens. The words were unmistakable, a racial slur aimed directly at him. The camera zooms in on his clenched fists, his body trembling with rage. David steps back to take the free kick, but as he does, Carter deliberately steps out of the wall and shoves him hard. David stumbles but doesn't fall. The crowd gasps as the referee blows his whistle. "What's your problem?" David yells, stepping forward. "You're my problem." Carter spits back, smirking. David gets in Carter's face, their noses almost touching. Other players rush in to separate them, but the tension snaps like a taut wire. Carter shoves David again, harder this time. "Go back where you came from," he snarls. Before anyone can react, David lunges at Carter, grabbing his shirt. The two collide like bulls, their bodies hitting the ground as they grapple. The other players quickly join the fray, trying to pull them apart, but the situation spirals out of control. Amir Khan, David's closest teammate, shouts, "Get off him," and pushes a Leeds player away, only to get shoved in return. Chaos erupts on the pitch. Carter lands a punch on David's side, but David responds with a shove that sends Carter sprawling. Another Leeds player grabs Amir by the collar, but Amir swings back, narrowly missing him. The referee and coaches rush onto the field, blowing whistles and shouting, but the fight has taken on a life of its own. Fans in the stands are on their feet, screaming in a mix of anger and disbelief. Security personnel begin streaming onto the field to break up the chaos. After a tense few minutes, the fight is broken up. David is dragged away by his teammates, his face flushed with anger and frustration. Carter is escorted off by the referee, who shows him a straight red card. As David walks off the pitch, the crowd erupts into chants. Some cheer for him, while others boo and hurl insults. David looks up at the stands, his expression one of defiance and pain. He knows this moment will define not just the match, but his career. The camera lingers on David's face as he mutters under his breath, "Enough is enough." This explosive scene sets the stage for the story's deeper exploration of racism in football, ensuring the audience is hooked and invested in the outcome. Would you like additional dialogue or emotional layers?